All right, it took us a little bit longer, but episode 13 of Dan Mathews and the Animals, it is here. It's a Friday morning edition of the show. Appreciate you all tuning in and watching this one. So let me go ahead and give people a little bit of a peek behind the curtain here. It's postseason baseball, and station I work at in Houston, we are the flagship for the local baseball team that is in the postseason. And so I had to go to the workout yesterday. We couldn't record the show. Then last night, impromptu dinner with the girlfriend and family. Couldn't record the show. So here we are, bright and early. It looks like my guy, Matt Maltepes, went and got a workout in. Is that what just happened there?
No workout, just relaxing.
Okay. All right. Well, good for you, man. Good for you. I thought I maybe saw like a towel around the neck right there or something,
Bro.
There we go. There we go. Styling and profiling. He's Ric Flair over here. Woo! All right, let's get into the games that we've got this week because I'm sure the people are looking at us and saying, hey, like, hot and heavy here. We need some action because there's a lot of it this weekend, Matt Maltepes.
Oh, yeah.
And let's go ahead and start with the game, here. And I posted this last night. I still call it Twitter. I mean, I know a lot of people call it X. I call it Twitter. But last night on the interstate that runs between Houston and Dallas, it's I-45 north, and they have a similar thing up there in Pennsylvania, Jersey. If you're driving around up there, of signs that let you know, like, hey, there's a couple of lanes shut down ahead or something like that. Well, the signs said horns up, phones down, Texas fight, and then the other one said get there safer, not sooner. Hook 'em horns. So the state is fired up for this one. It's undefeated against undefeated. It is a line that has Texas now, as we record this on Friday morning, Matt Maltepes, down to 5. It was 6.5. And the money line for Oklahoma is plus 180. The over-under for this one, 60 and a hook. How are we seeing this?
This one should be, a good one. I mean, Oklahoma's 5-0 against the spread while maintaining the second highest margin of victory and second highest against the spread plus minus. Texas comes in 3-2 against the spread while ranking 14th in margin of victory, but Texas has had an extremely impressive win over Alabama. They coming off a win over Kansas. The problem for Oklahoma to me is they haven't versed the level of competition that Texas has. Both teams rank top 20 yards per play and the opponent yards per play. The big difference in this game is when you look at the sack percentage, Texas ranks 50 in sack percentage, while Oklahoma ranks 107th in the nation in sack percentage. If you can't get to Quinn Ewers, I mean, he's gonna light you up a little bit. Oklahoma has yet to verse a top 50 team in yards per play, and Texas is top 20 in yards per play. The best defense Oklahoma has played thus far is SMU, which is ranked 42nd in opponent points per game. Texas ranks 8th in opponent points per game. I took Texas -5, and I lean over 60 here, but the one bet that I do like here is Texas the spread.
All right, so going horns -5 for this one. And I got to agree with you on this one. I mean, because you look at all of the metrics that you just threw out there, and I saw one of them was total defense, which I know that some people might say, oh, come on, man, total defense. But, at the same time here, Texas is 17th in the country in terms of total defense, which is mostly average yards per game. And then Oklahoma is 31st. So, I mean, you look at that as well of, people can say twofold with Oklahoma, I think in this case. Number one, oh, they haven't played anyone. Oh, there's the other part of it as well. Well, if you haven't played anybody, you're sure giving up some serious yards to teams that probably you should be handling pretty well. But as you mentioned, though, ATS, they're 5-0 this season. But for this one, though, I've got to tell you, I thought that number was low. I think that Texas wins this one by multiple scores. So I'm very much
alternate
there.
spread.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when I saw that one, I was like, that's a little low. I think that Texas takes this one pretty easily. So we'll see how it looks on Saturday. Let's go to another big game that's going to be in the state of Texas this weekend. That is in College Station. Texas A&M taking on Alabama. And again, as we record this on a Friday morning, I mean, I had seen this at one point. I think it was 2.5 Bama, then down to 1.5. At least the shop that I looked at this morning, Matt, it was down to a pick 'em. But here's where it kind of starts to break down a little bit. Bama is -107. So place whatever you want, $10. That's about 9 and change coming back to you. A&M minus 113. So a slight edge to A&M for this one, this one also as well. The over under at 46 for this game. So I mean, how are we seeing this one play out?
Yeah, I think I see weakness in this Alabama team this year from their loss to Texas and their game against South Florida. I mean, when you look at the offense, it just isn't that impressive to me, especially as some of their other offenses in the past. They rank 60th in the nation in yards per play. Defense is still strong, tied for 7th in opponent yards per play with who other than who they're versing this week, right? They have to go on the road and verse Texas A&M. Meanwhile, Texas A&M's offense has been strong. They rank 27th in yards per play. Alabama had an impressive win over Ole Miss. I admit that game was closer than the final score indicated. Another thing to note was that was at home. This is different going on the road. Texas A&M completely dominated an Auburn team who gave Georgia a run for their money and had a chance to beat them. In that game against Auburn, the Aggies doubled them in yardage, held them to 2.4 yards per pass and 3.4 yards per rush, with only 54 passing yards total for the game. Texas A&M ranks number 1 in the nation in defensive sack percentage. Alabama ranks 3rd worst in the nation in QB sack percentage right now. And even though Alabama runs the ball 10th most in the nation, this Aggies defense is the best team they have faced all year in opponent yards per rush attempt, better than the Longhorns. And they only average 3 yards a carry against the Longhorns. So A&M just played Auburn, like I just said, who runs the ball just as much as Alabama and actually runs for more yards per rush than Alabama. And they got shut down. So I really love Texas A&M this week. I bet them plus 1.5 as a 3% move.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're the only one, and you touched on this a little bit as well. I mean, that seems to be, from everybody I hear talking about this game, what people come back to is A&M's sack percentage against Alabama's offensive line, the way that they played this season. Probably one of the more disappointments of this season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've talked about LSU. We'll talk about them a little bit later on. But, I mean, I remember talking with J.C. Latham, Alabama offensive lineman at SEC Media Days, and he was calling his shot for the Joe Moore Award, which, of course, goes to the group. That seems like that's out the window, at least to this point in the season. I mean, Alabama trying to keep their season alive. I mean, a loss doesn't necessarily knock them out of the SEC West picture, but still 2 losses. I mean, there hasn't been a team with 2 losses make the college football playoff. Some people, though, believe that this might be the year that happens. And if there was a team that maybe had an opportunity to be able to do that, it would be Bama. But it seems like there's going to be other games that are going to be a test for them as well. So we're going Aggies, to be able to cover this one, which, of course, it's a pick 'em now. But if you got them at 1.5, I mean, you were willing to take them there. So you're feeling
I still like a pick.
Yeah, so you're willing to go with it even when they give you better odds for this one. All right, let's go to another game in the SEC. This one on the east side of the SEC, and that is Kentucky and Georgia. Dogs 14.5 favorites in this one. Kentucky plus 500 on the money line. Vegas is telling you if you're feeling froggy, so are we. We will pay you out if it hits. That just goes to show you that they do not believe that Kentucky really has much of a shot. And this one over under is 47 and a hook. Dr. Maltepes. I'm paging Dr. Maltepes because, I mean, kind of like doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case. In this case right here, it is believing Georgia because this is a team that has been a really good under team. But in terms of spreads, some of the huge ones they've had to try to cover, at least the last couple of weeks, it has been slim pickings in that regard. Help us out.
Yeah, Georgia's 0-4-1 against the spread this year. I mean, the Titans of Alabama and Georgia look as weak as ever this year to me. And I think these other teams and these coaches, I think they smelled the blood in the air. Auburn almost took down Georgia last week, just talked about it. Meanwhile, I mean, Kentucky comes in here. They're 4-1 against the spread with a 22-point margin of victory. The Wildcats are coming off a game where they crushed Florida, the same Florida team that took down Tennessee. And we've seen Georgia struggle now twice against South Carolina last week with the Tigers. Kentucky comes in this game ranked 7th in yards per play and opponent yards per play. Georgia ranks below them in both categories and both games that Georgia struggled in. They either tied or lost in the first half. I mean, Georgia ranks outside the top 25 in first half points per game and opponent first half points per game. Meanwhile, Kentucky, well, they rank top 10 in both. I bet Kentucky plus 7.5 first half, but I also do lean. I like them plus 15 full game if you're looking for a full game move instead. But my official move was that I bet was Kentucky plus 7.5 first half.
There you go. So, that seems like it is a play that really would be wise. Georgia, as I mentioned, I mean, the last couple of weeks, I mean, you've got the South Carolina game, you've got the Auburn game, and, now in this one, too, against a good Kentucky team that handled Florida last week as well. Kentucky first half plus 7.5. You're liking that one. All right, let's round it up with a couple of other quick games here. Let's go to the ACC, sorta, I guess. I mean, because with Notre Dame, I mean that's kind of what it is. You're not in the conference for football, but you're in the conference for everything else. But you still need to play ACC games, which they oblige to that. But in this case, right here. Boy, I mean, 3 straight weeks of tests for Marcus Freeman's team. I mean, of course, you had the home game a couple of weeks ago against Ohio State. That doesn't go your way. You have the comeback win last week and cover against Duke. In this case, in this week right here, back on the road at Louisville, a team that has played really well to this point in the season. But the Irish are a 6.5-point favorite for this one. Louisville getting 2.5 or 205 plus 205 on the money line. The over under is 54. How are we seeing this, Matt?
Yeah, the Irish, they had to Louisville take on the Cardinals. They're about 6-point favorites. Louisville has surprised most people this year thus far, but they have not surprised me. I've talked about Louisville multiple times on multiple shows now. They started season 5-0 with a 20-point margin of victory, but one thing you got to know is against the spread, they are 2-3. Compare that to Notre Dame, and the Irish are 4-1-1 against the spread with a higher margin of victory, all against tougher competition, in my opinion, by far. I mean, Notre Dame, as you just talked about, they've been tested. Just look at, they took out Duke last week before. They matched Ohio State on all metrics and should have matched them on the scoreboard, but didn't because of the missed field goal. Before that, they took out NC State on the road by 21 points. And Louisville just versed NC State last week on the road, and they barely came out with the win. They won that 13-10. So Louisville has had a tough time with the competition that doesn't even compare with Notre Dame's, such as Georgia Tech and Indiana. I can't see Louisville giving Notre Dame problems this week. I bet Notre Dame laying the 6 on the road.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Louisville team that under first-year head coach Jeff Brom has looked pretty strong to this point. Jack Plummer, who, of course, worked with him at Purdue. A guy that I've also talked about numerous times, Jawar Jordan, a really good player for Louisville and has been a very productive player for the Cardinals so far this season. But for Notre Dame, I mean, I think they kind of feel like if they get this one, then I really think that even with last week's win, they probably at that point feel like, all right, let's just stay the course at this point. We beat SC at home. If we do that, then I think at the end of the season at 11-1, they're kind of looking at the committee saying, hey, look, I get that we had the tough loss against Ohio State, but look at how we finished up here. We're very much in consideration. So some people have said Notre Dame out of the playoff picture. I don't believe so, and I think this game goes a long way to doing that. So you like the Irish being able to cover this one. So we'll see if indeed the Irish do that. All right, let's close it out with one final one here. It is a game that, I mean, at least I look at it at first, Matt, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me if you really expect me to go LSU minus 6.5, because that's where this line opened at. It's now down, which doesn't surprise me. Sharp money coming in on Mizzou. It's now down to a -4 cover for LSU on the road, but still, I mean, there's certain things I look for, and I'm definitely not the sharp that you are. I'm very much a square when it comes to placing action. But, I mean, I look at that and I'm saying, all right, the board is still telling me go LSU in this one, even with, the points starting to go a little bit towards Mizzou. But, they say the home team gets 3 on the road. All right, well, then that means that LSU would cover on the road in this case. But, I look at it and I just look at this defense, and I look at Luther Burden. I look at Brady Cook. And I'm just like, this just seems like a bad spot for LSU. Missouri is Missouri. Wow. I just really just completely butchered the state name. Mizzou is plus 167 on the money line. The over-under is 64. How are we seeing this?
Yeah, LSU comes in this game with loss last week to Ole Miss, where the defense played like pretty much dog shit. It's not the first week. It's been a
Oh, you're
constant.
good, brother. Say it. Say it. Say it as loud as
It's been
possible.
it's been a constant all season. They've been going, and playing like dog shit. They go now on the road to Missouri, who's the best offense they have played all year by far in yards per play metric. I mean, I do believe Missouri's offensive numbers are a bit skewed considering the defenses they've played have not been good. But guess what? LSU's defense has not been good either, so there's no way I can back LSU here. Not with the way the games have played out. I mean, and especially that defense. Anytime a team gives me big cause for concern, I got to stay away, especially with the way they've been playing. So, yeah, I mean, if I was forced to bet this game, I'd have to back the home team with the points here, without a doubt, yeah. But I didn't bet anything on it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I'm leaning that way too. I mean, they tell you not to not to bet emotionally, and in this case, that would very much be the case for me. But I'm with you. I mean, in terms of trusting this LSU team right now on that defense, not the case. And I mean, look, I don't hide, how I feel about LSU. But I mean, let me go ahead and just give a little bit of a PSA because we've got the platform here, going to do it. Stop blaming Jaden Daniels. I understand there was the fumble. I understand there was the last drive of the game, the second to last drive, I guess, all of those different things. The man put up a ton of yards and he put up 49 points. And if you're blaming Jaden Daniels, you're either one of two things. You're either dumb or you don't know what you're watching. I guess it's kind of like in casino. Either you were in on it or you were too stupid to realize it was going on, because that pretty much is you at that point with Jaden Daniels. It is not his fault. If somebody could make a song, oh, it's not Jaden's fault. I mean, really, that would be the song to make, because it's not anywhere close to being his fault for the way that the season has gone to this point. So I just want to throw that out there for LSU fans. Matt, dude, I mean, we made it happen. I mean,
Made it
through
happen.
postseason workouts, through impromptu dinners, where her dad's ordering beers, they're exploding over them. Twice that happened at dinner. We had no idea what the hell was happening. The old fashions were good. I knew that. There is a little bit of a fall crisp in the air here. I do feel that, so that is good. But I mean, let's see what we got this weekend. We got college football. We got postseason baseball firing up. I know you're fired up about that. I'm fired up about it. NFL action. I mean, this is the sweet spot of the season right here.
It's a sweet spot. And then, soon enough, we're going to have NBA too, and then college basketball. So, it's a nonstop cycle. It just keeps on going, and we just keep on rolling. And
I
the most
love it.
important thing is we keep on winning.
That's it. That's it. You said the key part right there. He's Matt Maltepes. I'm Dan Mathews. Appreciate the time for everybody. Dan Mathews and the Animals. Episode 13 is in the books until Tuesday, and I promise you it will be Tuesday. We'll talk to you then.